Hello, Michael. Hello, Ernesto.
Hello.
The question we have is, do we need to read Ramana's own writings, or is it enough to read your articles, videos, and explanations, Michael?
My articles, videos, and explanations, they should be focused on Bhagavan's writings. That is Bhagavan's core teachings that I talk about as far as possible. But merely hearing explanations, we shouldn't rely on explanations given by others. That it may be useful to listen to explanations, but we need to do the thinking for ourselves. Okay, Michael says it's like this. That Michael interprets it, Michael explains it in this way. But is that how I understand it? We need to review. Okay, if we don't know Tamil, we have to rely on translations. So we try to find a reliable translation and we think about it. And we think, okay, Michael gave this explanation, but is that what Bhagavan actually means here? Is that what Bhagavan is actually implying here? Because in Bhagavan's writings, we need to understand what is the meaning. We also need to understand what is the implication, because there's a lot of implication behind everything that Bhagavan says. So to arrive at the implication, we need to have a coherent understanding of his teaching. We need to understand, he said this here and he says this here. So what is the link between these? When we think about these things and try to get a coherent understanding of what Bhagavan has taught us, things become clearer and clearer. And when we understand what he said here, oh, that's what he meant when he said something else there. So things become clearer and clearer. So by all means, listen to Michael's explanations, but don't rely solely on Michael's explanation. We each have to do our own manana. We each have to understand for ourselves. So when you listen to Michael's explanations, do so critically. Is Michael explaining things? Is this really what Bhagavan meant when he wrote that here? So think about it yourself, because only what we will assimilate these ideas only to the extent that we have thought about them deeply ourselves. Michael's explanation may be correct, they may be wrong, but each one of us have to decide for ourselves whether Michael's explanations are right or wrong. It's up to us to decide. But so we should never, if you neglect Bhagavan's own writings and just believe what Michael is saying, supposing Michael has misunderstood something, then you're just following Michael's misunderstanding. So you have to use your own judgment, your own power of manana. You need to think about these things for yourself and answer, oh, this is why Michael said like this. This is what Bhagavan means here. And you may come to a deeper understanding than Michael has been able to explain. So we shouldn't depend. Explanations are useful, but we need to understand why those explanations are correct, how those explanations are correct, whether those explanations are correct.
And when you say, Michael, the importance to look to the implications too, is the implications that what the profound significance of what Bhagavan said to our lives. No?
Yes. That is. we all came to Bhagavan's path a certain number of years ago, and we began to read his teachings. When we first read, we understood something. Because we understood something, we were attracted to his teachings. Having understood something, we tried to put it into practice. When we try to put it into practice, we understand more. Oh, this is what Bhagavan meant. And when we go on studying his teachings over the years, the implication of what he's saying becomes clearer and clearer to us. So I can't define what I mean by implications, because there's so many implications. What the implications are becomes clear to us as we follow this path. The more we follow the path, the more the implications of what Bhagavan has taught us become clear to us. And some of those implications may be directly relevant to us. Other implications may be to enable us to, if we understand this implication, then if I understand what Bhagavan says here, that makes it clearer what he meant here. And if I understand what he meant here, it makes it clearer what he means here. So it's Bhagavan's teachings, the inner meaning, the deep implications of Bhagavan's teachings reveal themselves to the extent to which we think deeply about his teachings and, most importantly, put them into practice.
1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, I speak with Sanjay about one thing that you said, that when you write about Bhagavan teachings, you need to put more, you develop more manana than speech, because you need to construct your ideas. You have time to review what you are going to say.
Yes.
You ordinate, a more clearer, idea. What's the reason that now, if this help us for more manana, what's the reason that you now are giving more time to make video that right?
In Tamil, they would say talevidi. That means the fate written on your forehead. It is destiny. That is what we. I would like to spend more time writing. I would like to devote more time to translations and things, but just for the demands on my time now. For example, I used to write replies to emails, but there are hundreds of emails I've received that I haven't replied to simply because I didn't have time. So of late, when people write to me, I ask them to give me their phone number, and then I reply to their emails, leaving WhatsApp messages or Signal messages, or if they prefer, if it's mutually convenient, I phone them. So I seem to be, more of my time now seems to be occupied with talking rather than writing. But talking is also, when we write, we have to think very carefully about what we write. But when we are talking, we have to think on our feet, so to speak. So that's another type of exercise in manana. What we say will not be so perfect. It will not be so, the ideas will not be so well formed as when we write it. When we write it, we can very carefully think about it. We can write it and then we can correct it and try to express it as perfectly as possible. When talking, we may not be expressing it so perfectly. And sometimes we make mistakes. For instance, when I'm editing videos, I find sometimes when I meant to say verse 24 of Upadeshundi, I say verse 24 of Uludinapti. There's so many mistakes we make. And I notice so many mistakes in what I make. But I think people will generally understand the sense. When we are talking, it's more than just the words. That is the tone of the voice, so many other things. So talking is a very good means of communication. We can't always convey things as clearly in writing as we can in speech, because in speech there's as I say, the tone of the voice, the physical mannerisms. It has a certain impact. Mm-hmm. If we could hear Bhagavan talking, that would have a different impact to when we read his writings. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it would just happen to be the case that previously I did more writing. Now Bhagavan seems to have changed the circumstances, so now I do more talking. But it's all, what's important is, what are we talking about? What are we writing about? It's about Bhagavan teaching. So it's all essentially the same. We
will have the review of the happiness and art of living, or no?
Happiness and the art of being, that is old history.
Because you said that if you now write again this book, this is not will be different, no?
It would be different. It would be different because naturally, when we're following this path, our understanding is growing deeper and clearer. So if I were to write something like that again, it would be different. That doesn't mean that is wrong, but that was a certain stage in the development of my understanding. It was a certain stage in my own spiritual practice and everything. And it was also, happiness and the art of being was based mainly upon conversations or correspondence I had had with people. That is, it wasn't exactly what I had written or said, but it was because I was aware of the type of questions people asked. Those were the type of answers I gave in those days. Now, my understanding has deepened, so it would be different if I were to do it nowadays.
Please write it.
Ask Bhagavan. That's entirely in his hands, because I mean, there are so many things I would like to do. For example, I've given a series of talks in the videos. If you see, there's a playlist on Atma-vichara, on Ekatma Panchakam. Now, Arunacha Navamani Malai is under progress. Arunacha Patikam I've done, Arunacha Ashtakam I've done, Arunacha Pancharatnam I've done. All these important works of Bhagavan. I've got the translation, but I still haven't had time to put them on my website, on blog. So there's so many things I would like to do, but there's so many pressures on my time. Now, for example, because we produce videos, because these videos take time to edit, some editing is needed, and I need to write the description and things. All these things take up time. All the emails I receive take up time. Even if I end up replying by voice message, still there's some time involved. I have to ask for the phone number. I have to note down the phone number, then find it in WhatsApp. So there's so many things that are taking up time. So, but we need not be concerned about these things, because it is very clear when we look on our life is unfolding according to that Bhagavan has planned what we are to experience and what actions we are to do in order to experience that. So let us just leave the whole thing to Bhagavan. Things happen. If he wants me to write 100 books, I will write 100 books. If he doesn't want me to write any more books, I will not write any more books. So let us not be concerned about these things. We live our life from moment to moment. And what is the most important thing? At this moment, am I attending to myself, or am I just allowing my mind to go away towards other things? So we need to be focused in this practice, whatever our mind, speech, and body may be doing. That is the important thing.
Did you wrote the book, the Happiness and Art of Living, in Ronda, no? Part of this.
Some of it, quite a lot of it, I wrote when I was in Ronda. Yes.
Will be the retreat there.
Yeah.
But Michael, at least you have to concede that, talking about me, of course, had it not been for your explanations, it was a good start to start understanding at least the main ideas of Bhagavan's teaching. Because the first time I opened Nanyar, I didn't understand a single thing. That was many years ago. But
so when explanations are available, by all means, consider the explanations, but don't just take the explanations blindly. Oh, Michael has said so, therefore it's true. Michael could be mistaken. Judge for yourself. So listen to Michael's explanations if that's useful, but then go back to Bhagavan's writings and see whether it tallies with your understanding of Bhagavan's. If there's a difference between what Michael has explained and what you understand, then you've got something to think about. Am I right, or is Michael right? Why does Michael say like this? Why do I think differently? So in this way, we think deeply. So explanations are useful to stimulate our own manana, but they shouldn't be a substitute for our own manana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So don't take anything Michael says just on just because Michael has said so, therefore it's right. Michael is as liable to make a mistake as anyone else. So so we have to do our own manana. We have to consider these things. If Michael's explanations are useful, by all means make use of them, but don't rely entirely upon them.